Using a 3-pulse rectifier, I'm going to derive a generic equation that we can use on a 2-pulse, 3-pulse, 6-pulse, 12-pulse, 24-pulse, 48-pulse rectifiers. So we will have one equation for VDC, and all you have to do is recognize what is the pulse number of the rectifier that you are busy with. So if we shift the 0 by 90 degrees, then our V max sin omega t becomes V max cos omega t, because the phase shift between sine and cos is 90 degrees. The upper limit we now express in terms of the pulse number, and the lower limit we also express in terms of the pulse number. To the right of the 0 is positive, to the left of the 0 is negative. And if we just replace this P here with 3, which is the 3-pulse, you will see that it has exactly the same load wave shape as when we were not expressing it in terms of P. So the scientific definition of V average, which is VDC, is equal to 1 over t of the integral between 0 and t of Vt dt. And therefore, the period now is is here, and t is equal to pi over p minus pi over p, which gives us 2 pi over p. And therefore, it is 1 over 2 pi over p, and the integral is from minus pi over p to pi over p. And it is V max cos omega t d omega t. That is our Vt, that section there. So the V max does not change over the period, and so we have P times V max over 2 pi, and the integral of cos omega t is sin omega t, and the limits are minus pi over p and pi over p. And therefore, it is P V max over 2 pi, the sine of pi over p minus the sine of minus pi over p. Now, recall that in the unit circle, it was all is positive, only sine is positive, tan is positive, and cos is positive. So if pi over p is there, then minus pi over p is here. And therefore, we can see that for the same angle, the value will be the same, but for here the sign will be positive, and here the sign of minus pi over p will be negative. So we can say that, but the sign of minus pi over p is equal to minus the sign of pi over p. So this term here will now become a minus minus. Therefore, P V max over 2 pi is equal to the sine of pi over p minus the minus sine of pi over p, and therefore it will be equal to 2 sine pi over p, 2 sine pi over p, and here we will have p v max over 2 pi. This goes into that once, and therefore it will be equal to p v max over pi sine pi over p. Thank you.